The local control funding formula gives us an incredible opportunity to invest in the health and wellness of our California students. But for parents and students, and sometimes even school district staff, it can be a little complicated to understand. I'm going to walk you through it and lay out just how LCFF can be utilized to support nutrition. In 2013, Governor Brown enacted new legislation, and that legislation has completely changed the way that school districts spend and receive their education funds. It set out to do three things primarily: to increase funding for schools that serve a high number of high-need students. So those are students that are foster youth, low-income, and English learners. And it also provided more flexibility for those school districts to spend those funds. At the same time, it set out to increase funding transparency. So while the local control funding formula gave increased spending flexibility to school districts, it requires them to be transparent about how they're using those funds and how they're using those funds to support high-need students. It also set out to better engage parents in their children's education. Before the local control funding formula, the way that school districts received their funds was based on a complicated funding formula that could basically amount to one school district could sit next to another school district, but the two could completely vary in the amount of funding that they received. And this often resulted in school districts in more affluent communities receiving more funding than those in low-income communities. Before LCFF, there were also a high number of categorical programs. And categorical programs are basically like funding pots that a school district would receive a set amount of money, but they could only spend those funds on specific programs. LCFF changed the funding formula for how school districts actually receive their funds. Now all school districts receive a base grant, and that base grant is calculated off of the number of students in the school district. For every low-income English learner or foster youth, school districts receive additional funding, and these come in the form of supplemental grants. The high-need students can actually generate up to 20% more funding for school districts. And in school districts where at least 55% of students are considered high need, even more money can be generated for the school district. These funds are known as concentration grants. So in summary, LCFF has resulted in greater flexibility for school districts to spend their funds. They're no longer bound to as many categorical programs. Some of those categorical programs still exist. The cafeteria fund is an excellent example of that, but many of them are gone, and school districts can spend their funds in a way that best suits their individual needs. And at the same time, those school districts that are serving a high number of high-need students are actually getting more money to serve low-income students, foster youth, and English learners. In addition to increasing the amount of funding for school districts serving high-need students, LCFF set out to increase stakeholder engagement. Now school districts are required to engage parents in developing the school district's funding plan. All school districts must establish a parent advisory committee, and in school districts where there's a high number of English language learners, they're also required to establish an English learner parent advisory committee. The school district must consult with those committees and other stakeholders to identify what the school district's needs are. They're required to provide an opportunity for stakeholders to provide both written and verbal comment on the school district's funding plans. The school district is required to present a draft version of their local control and accountability plan to the Parent Advisory Committee, and they must respond in writing to the comments of the Parent Advisory Committee on that draft plan. Within the school district's funding plan, they're also required to continually develop methods for increasing parent engagement. Now, what is actually happening within school districts across California and the amount of engagement does vary from one school district to the next. But the establishment of this requirement to engage parents in developing the school district's funding plans has presented an opportunity to utilize parents and to utilize this committee to bring attention to the nutritional needs of students. The Local Control and Accountability Plan is a tool for school districts to increase transparency for how they're spending their local control funding formula funds. The Local Control and Accountability Plan is designed to increase transparency and is required for use across all school districts in California. The LCAP is essentially a template that's been developed by the California Department of Education, and school districts must complete it and make it publicly available. Each LCAP must include a number of things. It must include the school district's goals, their actions that they will take to achieve those goals, the measures or metrics they will use to assess progress on meeting their goals, and to identify the funds that they will use to support those actions, as well as a description of how they engage stakeholders and what they learn from engagement. The school district must identify within their local control and accountability plan actions that will be used to specifically support high-need students. The school district must also link their local control and accountability actions and goals to 8 state priority areas. And for wellness advocates, this is perhaps the most important component of LCAP to take note of. All actions and goals within the LCAP must link back to one or more of these priority areas. Any efforts or programs that directly support high-need students are also more likely to be supported in the LCAP. Each of the 8 state priority areas are connected to specific metrics. Some of those metrics are state required, and all school districts must report on them. School districts also have the flexibility within their local control and accountability plans to identify their own measures of measuring academic success. So for example, a school district might decide to include a measure of students' wellness. Requiring school districts to report on a number of metrics instead of just one measure of academic success is moving California beyond a system where we rely on only one measure of student achievement. Having school districts publicly report multiple measures paints a fuller picture of educational achievement while helping school districts identify areas that they can improve upon. If you're a school nutrition director or school nutrition advocate, it's important to learn what measures your own school district is using to measure academic success. Linking your nutrition or wellness efforts to LCAP metrics will help your chances of gaining district support. School districts develop their local control and accountability plan once every 3 years. They're also required to develop an update to their local control and accountability plan every year. This upcoming school year, school districts are going to be putting forward their new plans. And those new LCAPs must be adopted by the school board by July 1st and approved by the County Office of Education by October 8th. School districts start to develop their LCAP way in advance of those deadlines. There are no other required dates for LCAP development, but most school districts begin development in the fall by reaching out to parents and students and district staff to solicit their input. They might do that in a variety of ways. It varies from one school district to the next. In some school districts, they may set up meetings with district staff. They may send out surveys to parents, school district staff, or others. They may have town hall type meetings to gather feedback, or they might solely engage the parent advisory groups. By winter, most school districts may have already adopted the first version of their LCAP and set out to get feedback in the spring on the draft plan. It's important to take a look at the local control and accountability plan that your school district has already developed. It can teach you a lot about that school district, about their funding priorities, the measures that they'll utilize to measure student achievement, what's important to that school district, what their goals are. It's also going to let you know how they've engaged students and parents in the past. It can be an important resource to help you thinking about what types of actions are likely for your school district to support related to nutrition and wellness. So where does school nutrition fit in? School nutrition programs are connected through research to all of the 8 state priority areas. School nutrition programs also directly benefit low-income students. Students who qualify for free or reduced price are considered low income according to the Local Control and Accountability Plan. They are the direct recipients and beneficiaries of school meal programs. School nutrition programs support student achievement. Participation in the school nutrition programs has been linked through research to improve test scores and other markers of improved academic and cognitive performance, including performance on the Academic Performance Index, GPA, standardized test scores, math scores, and literacy. Water intake has also been shown to improve students' classroom focus. The school nutrition programs are also linked to improved school climates. If students attend class thirsty or hungry, they're more likely to exhibit behavioral problems, to not get along with their peers, and to have trouble focusing in the classroom, which not only detracts from their own school experience, but the experience of their classmates. School nutrition programs address some of the root causes that prevent students from coming to school regularly. By keeping children healthy and well-nourished, school nutrition programs help students stay in school and contribute to reducing absenteeism. Students are more likely to attend school when they enjoy their overall school experience. School nutrition programs are also linked to parental involvement. Parents care about the health and well-being of their children. We can engage parents and students as contributors to the school nutrition programs by having them serve on school wellness committees and policy councils, and by seeking their input in improving the school nutrition programs. School districts are required within their local control and accountability plan to identify how they will support implementation of academic content and performance standards that have been adopted by the State Board of Education. They must report how students are enrolled in a broad course of study. Providing course content on nutrition can expand the breadth of courses that students have access to, whether in the garden, the cafeteria, or in the classroom. Nutrition and health education can be incorporated into project-based learning activities that are aligned with state-adopted academic content and performance standards. Nutrition and health education can also be used to support Common Core state standards, next generation science standards, and others. School districts are required in the local control and accountability plan to ensure that school facilities are in good repair. Water fountains and school cafeterias are part of those school facilities. Supporting school cafeterias and drinking water access points not only ensures that students have safe and convenient places to eat and drink, but can contribute to students' overall school experiences, while encouraging students to access the health and academic benefits of drinking water and participating in the school nutrition programs. We've developed a number of resources to help you understand the connection between school nutrition and the local control and accountability plan. You can check out our website at www.cfpa.net for a link to a research summary that connects school nutrition programs and drinking water access to the local control and accountability plan measures of academic success. You can also visit our website and find examples of school districts that have incorporated the school nutrition programs into their own local control and accountability plans, and get access to sample language that your own school district administrators can utilize when developing their own local control and accountability plan. So I encourage you to visit our website and check out some of those resources, and feel free to reach out to any members of our staff if you have any questions.